Hey friend, welcome. If we haven't met yet, I'm Jen. I'm a part-time online clothing reseller, which means I go to thrift stores, I buy used clothes, I list them on eBay and Poshmark, and hopefully sell them for a profit. Today, I am shipping out the items that sold on the 22nd. Yeah, I'll be honest, it's a couple days later, but here we are. I have 2 days shipping on my items, so I can take a minute, which is nice. I did not have an opportunity yesterday to ship, so here we are. The first item is this Chicago White Sox hat, and I really like to share comp information, so average sale price, sell-through rate. And as I was doing my labels for these last night, I was thinking, you know, I feel like I have a lot to say about sell-through rate. And so that's kind of what I want to theme today's video around, is sell-through rate. So the sell-through rate, the average sale price for a vintage, this is vintage. I should have showed you that label. Why I think it's vintage is because of this label. So not probably super vintage, but definitely at least 20 years old. Okay, after that sidetrack, I looked up vintage Chicago White Sox hat. The average sale price was $35.92 with an 11% sell-through rate. Now, one of the things I try to say a lot when I talk about sell-through rate is average sale price is just that, an average. Vintage Chicago White Sox hats have sold anywhere from $1.99, like $1.99, to $550. Guess which end of the spectrum mine fell on? Not the $550, sadly, but still, it sold for $15. Now, I have had an experience in the past where I had a vintage, I believe it was North Carolina Tar Heels. Don't quote me on that, but it was like an $85 hat and I sold it for $25. That was heartbreaking. But since then, anytime I come across a hat that I don't really know what it is, which is most often because I don't know hats very well, I take a Google image search, Google image lens search. So I take a picture, put it on Google Lens, and if it's something really good, it'll say, you know, the prices are good. It'll help me know how to list it better. So mine sold for $15 on eBay. With shipping, they paid $21.28. Took 3 months to sell, which is, to me, is like, okay, I priced that right. I didn't overprice it because it didn't sell in like 2 hours, which is what happened with the other one. It also didn't take 2 years to sell. You're staying here? Okay.
Over there.
Oh, you're staying over there? And yeah, so to me, that means I priced it right. Anyway, I forgot to tell you what my profit was. There it is. I bought it at the bins, which is the Goodwill outlet where you pay by the pound. I average my cost of goods usually at $2 per item for there, but with hats I usually do $1 because it's by the pound. Hats weigh a lot less. So anyway, $11.63 is my profit. I didn't tell you my gross sales for the 22nd is $139.24. Awesome. Weirdly enough, I sold another hat. I was like, how did I sell 2 hats in the same day? This one is Fuji? I don't know. It was even branded like that on the inside. I did a lot of research when I went to list this. I could not figure out, like, is it Fuji film? Is it a brand? Like, I couldn't figure it out. The average sale price on this was $22.47 with a 5% sell-through rate. This sold for $18.96, and with shipping, they paid $22.63. Okay, I gotta take a break. I'm gonna take a water break because it's only like 10 a.m. but I'm sweating in here. It's so hot. It's another heat wave. Are you getting it where you are? It's so hot. Okay, this is your friendly reminder to hydrate. I'm drinking Spindrift. It's like my favorite sparkling water. I just had a whole conversation with a friend of mine about, is this actually water or not? I think it is. This is Nojito, which is mint and lime, and it's very refreshing. Oh my word, it's so hot. My face is dripping. It's gross. Sorry. But here we are. That's what I get for having my workspace in the garage, I guess. Okay, $22.63 was what they paid in total. I bought this again at the bins, so with an average cost of goods of $1, my profit is $12.66. This did take 13 months to sell, which, you know, there's a 5% sell-through rate. That's not surprising at all. So you might be saying, that's great, Jen, but where do you get these comps? So what I do is I go on the eBay Seller Hub. I primarily sell on eBay. I list through Vendu, and then I will cross list to Poshmark and Depop as well. But I sell most of my items on eBay, and I start on eBay, so I comp on eBay. So I go to the eBay Seller Hub. I click on research. There's a tab at the top. There's a drop down menu that says, I think it says product research. And then there's a search bar, and I look in that search bar. And it tells me the average sale price, the sell-through rate. It tells me a bunch of other information, but those are the two numbers that I'm most concerned about. They calculate sell-through rate as the amount of items sold divided by the amount of items sold and listed, and they base theirs on a 90-day history. So this one, there's a 5% sell-through rate. That means if there were 100 listed in the last 90 days, 5 of them sold and there are 95 still listed. That's not a good sell-through rate. This is probably the best sell-through rate of the day, which is kind of funny and surprising. This is a little Build-A-Bear denim overalls. Has a little hole for a tail. Here's the Build-A-Bear. If you don't know, Build-A-Bear are like stuffed animals that you actually go to this little store and build your own bear. And then they have lots of little accessories and stuff. Well, most of the stuff is not worth anything. But you can, I have in the past sold like a lot, like, you know, I think it came from my own kids' stuff. I had like a bunch of accessories, clothes and stuff. But this I found at the bins again, and I was like, you know, I got interrupted again, but it was because my husband just brought me an iced coffee. This is like my newest obsession. It's 7 Brew. I guess it's like a regional, maybe, franchise. I don't really know. I'm usually like a shop local kind of girl, and I like to support my local coffee shops, especially like the one that's real close to me is, I know the owners and usually know all the baristas and stuff, so. But that's just like a drive-through. Sometimes drive-thrus are easier. Anyway, that was really nice of him. What is this? Like sidetrack number 3? Should we keep track today? Probably not. Let's not do that. Okay. So I was at the bins. I found these Build-A-Bear overalls, and I thought, oh, you know, maybe I can start another little stash and get together a lot. I brought them home. I looked up the sell-through rate and was kind of surprised. So the Build-A-Bear denim overalls have an average sale price of $12.17 with a 31% sell-through rate. Now, again, that's an average. The other thing to take into consideration is there were quite a few lots. So, you know, they would have like a dress and a jacket and the overalls. And so those would sell for a little bit higher price, right? So what I did was went through and actually like just the overalls had an even higher sell-through rate, which was kind of amazing. And I went through and priced mine like just above the lowest one. And then I have a 15% off coupon on my store. I send out 20% offers. So mine ended up selling for $10.36 in just 8 days. So I think the way I priced them was just kind of perfect. I only spent, I mean, I have a dollar cost of goods because, again, teeny tiny thing I found at the bins. I can tell you, let's see. My bins is $1.79 a pound. And this is less, it's 3 ounces with the packaging. Okay, so what did that cost me? Less than, I can't math right now, less than 50 cents, right? Less than 75, maybe between 50 and 75 cents. Okay. Still, I'm going with the average. My profit is $7.80. Like I said, 8 days, so that's kind of amazing. But I think that that's interesting to kind of make sure when I'm on that Seller Hub product research tool in the Seller Hub, let's say that correctly, you can scroll down and see all that has sold. And so I think that it's important to kind of look through what has actually sold. This is kind of an interesting thing here. Yeah. So this is Columbia PFG. It is performance fishing gear, I believe is what it's called. It's vented. So it has these little flaps in the back, and then this is mesh. So it, feels nice and cool on your skin. It's also Omni Shade, which, don't quote me on this, but I think that means there's like some UV protection in the fabric. I may be wrong about that, but I do think that that's correct. So Columbia PFG Omni Shade vented shirt has an average sale price of $14.43 with a 36% sell-through rate. Okay, pretty decent. But this is a man's shirt. But if you go to the women's, if you filter by women's, the women's shirts have a 65% sell-through rate. So sometimes, even though this one wasn't quite as good, if you, filter by color, by size, by certain styles, by certain, categories even, there have been times when I have looked at something and it could have gone into 2 different categories, and in one category, the sell-through rate was really low, and in another category, the sell-through rate was really high. And so, I think that filtering by those certain things can really make a big difference, and then kind of helps guide how it's listed as well. So anyway, Columbia PFG Omni Shade vented. I already told you all that. Mine sold, so it was a $14.43 average sale price. Mine sold for $13.96. With shipping, they paid $20.37. That was the other thing I was going to say is, actually, I think we can talk about this a little bit with my next thing, is condition, right? So this took 5 weeks to sell. I bought it at the bins. Again, all my eBay stuff I found at the bins. My profit is $9.73. So not a super high profit on that, but especially if I find women's and I can find them for a low cost, then I'll buy those. Here's another thing that I think is important is cost. I can find something that has, I'm trying to think of a good example. I'll just make up an example, okay? So maybe I find something that has a $20 average sale price and but a really high sell-through rate. So maybe it's like a 50 or 75% sell-through rate, right? Really high, really exciting. But I find it for like $8. if it's in really good condition, I still might buy that, because even though my margins are going to be lower, it's probably going to flip pretty fast. Now, there's never a guarantee with that, but the converse of that is true for me anyway. I don't think any of this has to be true for you. This is the way, I'm just talking about how I do things. I don't think we have to do things the same way. And in fact, I think it would be pretty bad if we did everything exactly the same way, right? We can't. We don't have all the same circumstances. That's a different subject. But the converse is true, right? If I find something with a really low sell-through rate, but I find it for 25 cents or somebody gives it to me for free, then maybe if it has certain things that, if it's maybe new with tags something, or maybe it's a 100% linen or 100% silk or something like that, then I still might buy it even though the sell-through rate is really low. Okay, these are J. Crew. They're men's pants. They are a linen cotton blend, and they're just like just a straight leg, kind of regular old pants. They have an average sale price of $21.85 with a 47% sell-through rate. So I looked up linen cotton J. Crew pants. Okay, so 47% sell-through rate. These still took 2.5 months to sell. That's because it has like a little spot on it. So and it sold for a little less than the average. It sold for $19. So, condition, I think, is another thing that I think is important to talk about. And that PFG shirt was not like in pristine condition or anything. So it sold a little less than the average sale price. So I think now, because eBay has the excellent, good, and fair delineations in their pre-owned things, I think sometimes, I don't know, I've tried looking them up that way. I've tried looking things up that way a few times, and sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it's unclear, but I think that does help a little bit of like, okay, if this thing has a stain, I'm gonna list it under fair, then maybe the sell-through rate is gonna be a little different. I also, do very basic searches when I'm searching for my videos. When I'm searching to list, I will search, more specific, the exact size, the exact color, the exact style, the exact condition even. So this one for $19 on Poshmark. Like I said, they took 2.5 months to sell. I bought them at a church thrift that I very rarely go to. I actually heard of from another YouTuber reseller who lives in a city about an hour away from me. And the first time I went, I was like, eh. And then I went again, and like pretty much everything I bought from there has sold. So I don't find much when I go, maybe 6 or 8 items, but I don't know, I would go again. The last time I went to the bins, I could have gone and didn't realize it until I got home, because they have kind of weird hours because it's a church thrift. Anyway, regardless, $13.20 is my profit on it. All right, the last item sold on Poshmark, and I did quite a bit of playing around with the comps on this one, and it'll hopefully be easy to see why. So this is a sport coat. And if you don't know, usually all the labels are in the inside flap of the jacket. So this is a 46, oh, it's a regular. Oh, sorry, I had 2 different things in my brain at the same time. It's regular, that's fine. What you doing, kiddo?
Taking some fake money.
Fake money?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My little kids are 9 and 7, and they're playing with some neighbor kids. So, Ralph Lauren. This also has these gold buttons that have a crest on them. Now, usually in the Ralph Lauren world, that crest can give more value. That's not always the case, but it can. So this is how my crazy comping went, okay? So, oh, careful.
See ya.
Bye. So I looked up Ralph Lauren sport coat because if I looked up Ralph Lauren, that's just putting the same word in twice and it doesn't really comp well that way. So I looked up, Ralph Lauren sport coat. The average sale price was $50.70 with a 9% sell-through rate. So I was like, okay, well, that's pretty basic, right? And of course, there's all sorts of levels of Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren is probably on the lower end, unless it's like vintage. This is 100% wool, which I think is important to, it's gonna have to be really special or really different or really unique in order for me to pick up like a polyester coat. So, what in heaven's name? It's like it's, oh, I know why. Okay, sorry. Apparently I can't talk and lint roll at the same time. Okay, so, Ralph Lauren, 9% sell-through rate. I was like, I'm gonna add crest to that. I added gold buttons, crest. And I thought that the sell-through rate was gonna go up. No, it did not. So it went to $45 average sale price and a 3% sell-through rate. And I was like, well, bummer. I don't know about that. So anyway, I then just did a regular search on eBay, not through the Seller Hub, because I wanted to be able to filter by the actual brand. Because there are some brands, flax is one that comes to mind, that is also, you know, like a material. And so it doesn't always comp right unless I can filter by the exact brand. So I just went to eBay and I searched Ralph Lauren sport coat and then I filtered by Ralph Lauren. And they don't give me the exact comps there. I kind of have to do my own work. So there were 30,000 Ralph Lauren sport coats listed, Ralph Lauren sport coats listed. I think I added wool also. And then there were 6,400 that had sold. So I did some math and that actually made it an 18% sell-through rate, which I thought was rather interesting. I thought it was gonna be lower, but it was actually higher than just Ralph Lauren. So all that to say, mine sold for $30. It sold on Poshmark. I had it listed for $45, I think, and somebody sent me an offer for $30 and I went ahead and accepted that. I only paid $3.33. That must have been an average that I did at a local thrift store, local to me here. And yeah, I had them pay $10 in shipping on Depop, and shipping cost me literally exactly $10. So I don't know how that worked out, but I'll take it. Depop fees are pretty low, so I paid $1.87 in fees, and so that makes my profit $24.80. My profit for the day was $79.82. So that's great. That hits my goal. I've had some really low days for about 4 days in a row, so I was very happy to have another kind of decent day. So, I think I said all the things that I could think about sell-through rate, but there's no way that I said everything. Actually, I can think of one thing off the top of my head. Somebody left a comment a couple days ago on a video, and I thought it was really applicable. And she said that, you know, sometimes when those lower sell-through rate items sell quicker, it probably has a lot to do with like the listing quality. And I think that's important too. I don't necessarily think that I have great listings. Some of them are decent, but my lighting is often off, and you know, there's, I think done is better than perfect. So I don't go for like exactly perfect listings every time. But I do think that a better quality listing can lead to, you know, some of those lower sell-through rate items selling faster. And so someone brought that to my attention, and I definitely agree. I thought that was really insightful. And yeah, so anyway, I don't think I said all the things that there are to say about sell-through rate. So if you have anything that you think I missed or something you completely disagree with me on, as long as you're respectful, I appreciate comments and having a conversation in the comments. That's always fun for me. The other thing I wanted to say, oh, I have been doing a summer themed would you rather. And so the question of the day is, would you rather go to an outdoor concert or a stadium concert? I definitely am like, I would love just like a nice little outdoor concert, like a little acoustic set, small, maybe, you know, some nice food involved. That sounds really fun for me. Although I used to really love those stadium concerts where it's just like so loud and in your ears and everybody's wild and dancing. I haven't been to a concert like that in years. I mean, years. It would be so much fun. It was so funny because some of our good friends went to a concert a couple nights ago, and they sent us pictures and they were like, this is what happens when we buy the cheap yard seats. They actually ended up upgrading their seats so they could have a seat with a back, like just sit against. We're like, oh, we're getting old. Those are gone are the days where we could just like sit on the grass and enjoy a concert for 3 hours. Like, we need something to support our backs now. I don't know, that was just funny to me. All right, I'm gonna take another sip of this and get my packages out to get picked up by the postal worker, the mail carrier. So make sure you like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you enjoy reseller content like this. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. I'll see you soon.